what's up, guys? It's the Mego3011 here with another reaction. This time, not Smash Bracket or Death Battle. Today we are reacting to Vegeta vs. Shadow. Who would win between Dragon Ball Z versus Sonic the Hedgehog by Fade? That's their YouTube name. I've seen them on Twitter. They recommended reacting to this. They didn't reach out to me, but they said they wanted to see reaction. So I figured, hey, you know what? That sounds like a grand old time. Sounds like a lot of fun. So I got the boys ready for it, because as always, I'm joined by Minato and Zombie Warlord.
Hello there.
Hi.
So yeah, just thinking it's gonna be really fun, and I'm gonna be honest, I clicked on that Twitter link thinking it was gonna be like a 5-minute video. It is not a 5-minute video. So I have
7 minutes.
Yeah, I have no idea what to expect. I'm not sure if it's just 30 straight minutes of them throwing hands. I'm not sure if there's analysis in here somewhere. But, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. So, gentlemen, do you have any comments?
Rooting for Vegeta.
I don't have any allegiances, but I guess I'll go Shadow.
I'm not overly attached to either one. Like my experience, I don't have a lot of experience with either, so I'm more open.
I just know that DBZ and Sonic have crazy power scaling, so you know
that they do.
can really go either way.
The only time I've ever rooted for a Dragon Ball character in a matchup, I think, has been Bardock versus Omni-Man, which that didn't end well, and Trunks versus Silver, which also didn't end well. So I think me rooting for the Dragon Ball character is just like a signal they're gonna die horribly.
With that being said, are you rooting for Shadow?
I don't know. I think whoever I root for is gonna die, so y'all give me your best pitch to not root for your character right now. We're gonna do the reversal.
He's killed a lot of people. Like, a lot. Like, entire planets. This man has committed genocide as often as you brush your teeth.
Man, that is a good point, Minato, to root for Shadow. Zombie, what's your argument?
Shadow has used a gun. Think of the children.
Ah, man, you're right.
Vegeta has, like, this massive ego. Like, he looks down on anyone who isn't, like, royalty. And again, he's killed a lot of children, included.
I do hate I do want to see a character with a huge ego fall.
He's probably killed.
You both raised good points. I'll probably decide as the fight goes on or the video goes on. Let's just see it, because watching it be an analysis the whole time, and that now we can make a decision.
But I'm giving more like facts and everything.
Yeah.
He has a gun.
He has a gun that instantly kills Saiyans.
It's pretty deadly.
All right. You ready then?
Yes.
All right, Minato.
Yep.
Without further ado, let's begin.
Seems you're ready to die. Let me show you what
Let me calm down slightly.
Let's settle this.
Straight into it. Oh, wait. Nope, I think we're getting analysis.
Dragon Ball and Sonic have been constantly compared to one another. Things like Super Saiyan and Super Sonic, or the Chaos Emeralds and the Dragon Balls.
This makes more sense. There was no way they were already going to Ultra Ego.
Yeah.
The people we're talking about today, Shadow and Vegeta. Vegeta and Shadow are some of those praised characters when it comes to fiction, with both being seen as some of the best of the best when it comes to their character arcs. Many times, people like them even more than Goku vs. Sonic. Now, it's pretty clear to see that both Shadow and Vegeta, even despite what Izuka might tell you, are somewhat similar.
Both started out as villains for entirely different reasons.
They would then meet the main character and battle them, both of them being widely changed by this battle. Shadow, he didn't see Sonic as a lookalike anymore, he saw him as a genuine beast, eventually considering him to be the ultimate life form.
Why are some of the
Goku and
parts
Vegeta,
like low
Goku and Vegeta
quality?
fighting originally, and Vegeta thinking that he was nothing more than a low-class Saiyan. Only with as time went on, Vegeta would slowly start to see Goku in a better and better light, respecting him and outright calling him #1. But also being impacted by some of the other casts as well. However, the main impact that they had was Maria for Shadow and Bulma for Vegeta. Maria would put Shadow on this whole revenge arc, but after Shadow realized Maria's true wants, he changed for the better. With Bulma and Vegeta would eventually have kids with them. While Vegeta would definitely not care about them in the beginning, as the years went by, the relationship grew to the point that Vegeta would genuinely throw away everything for Bulma. His final explosion speech, he literally only calls out Trunks, Bulma, and Goku, which are his biggest impacts in his life. And one big comparison I actually really like a lot is the Doom powers and Ultra Ego / Mods and Vegeta to an extent. Both of these are their past coming to haunt
I don't know
them,
anything
but
about the
instead
Doom
of falling
powers, to
back
be
the
honest.
past, they would eventually grow and become newer people. Vegeta realizing that he can't be the same destroyer that he was many years ago, and Shadow realizing that he cannot let anger or revenge lead him anymore. So they use these powers in order to help out the others in need. The point is, Vegeta and Shadow have a lot more similarities than many people might think. These characters are great and have a ton to analyze about them, but we do not care about that. We want to see them fight. So what are the rules for this fight? Basically, anything canon goes. So for Shadow, he'll get the games, IDW, and Sonic X. And Sonic X, while not actually canon, it's literally just Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. It doesn't really contradict me. Whereas
Okay.
Vegeta will get the Dragon Ball manga, the Dragon Ball Z anime. Some people might ask me if I'm using filler, and I'll use a little bit of filler. Toriyama himself says that filler is canon to Dragon Ball, so we'll be using it too. Super, both manga and anime will be used, and Dragon Ball Kakarot, which is also stated to be canon. Also, Shadow and Vegeta will be given any of their arsenal and any of their abilities. So Shadow gets the emeralds, and Vegeta gets an earring. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, so
Sonic and power scaling has been a little bit iffy throughout the game. Some say that Sonic is stronger than God himself, and some would say that Sonic wouldn't even be a slave in my empire. I'm sorry, I just love that meme so much.
Sure.
Jokes aside,
God.
it's pretty contentious. Now, as we all know on this channel, I'm right and you're wrong. So here's what I say.
Oh, shit.
Now, one big important part that we need to talk about first is Sonic getting stronger
gets his
over
ass
time.
beat
Now, a
by
big
Amy
part of Sonic
Rose.
is Sonic will fight a boss,
Bruh.
And that he
and then,
doesn't beat
you know,
himself
later
because of
he'll
that?
fight him
No
in space
shot.
form. And Shadow was no exception to this rule. For example,
You
Sonic
know,
and
fans will
Knuckles
tell you
fight
that
Overlord,
didn't
with Sonic having
look
to
you
go super and having to
and
give
tell you
Tails
that
another
giant
super.
robot took
And
three
it took
super
basically three super tier characters in order to beat
the
it. However,
Chaos
fast
Emeralds.
forward, and Shadow by himself was able to beat
It
Metal
means-
Overlord, but seemingly
man,
barely any
that's
difficulty.
ass
So
kicked
this is a
by a
very
10-year-old.
big trend. It's not like anything inconsistent either. So how strong
Damn.
would Shadow be? Now, the first thing that we need to do to scale him to Sonic. Sonic and Shadow are said to be equal, so anything that Shadow can do, Sonic can do, and vice versa. First of all, Sonic was able to beat Ultimate Emerald. Ultimate Emerald had the power of the final Egg Blaster in his body. Now, the final Egg Blaster was able to destroy star clusters across space, which would take around multi-solar system levels of power in order to do. Basically, he destroyed our solar system multiple times over. And Sonic beat him, canonically, in 30 seconds, meaning that Sonic would casually be multi-solar system levels of power in his base form, and Shadow should just outright scale to this. Now,
I
some
mean,
people might say,
yeah,
oh, well,
that
it's
checks
inconsistent. Well, may I introduce you to the Egg Dragoon, something that Eggman would state is his ultimate weapon. Now, some people might be a little cheeky, they might be a little goofy. They'll try saying, like, Sonic in his base form should be able to beat Solaris. However, there's nothing that really proves that, because in the most recent
Well,
game,
this
Shadow
isn't
played
even
Ridiculous,
solar
it didn't
system
get
level,
anywhere
but
near
it's like
Solaris.
at
So
least
saying that Sonic and
universal.
Shadow should scale to
They
Solaris
said that was a
is little bit of
base.
stretch. There is statements
They're not even
that
covering the
these
super
days
forms
the
yet.
strongest Sonic villain of all.
Exactly.
However, not only could it just be like advertisement hyping,
I'm just saying,
or
base
burgers are the
wouldn't be
best, even
base
though
Solaris
burgers are
with
the
even with
but also consider the fact that
it's-
in advertisements they rarely ever talk about Sonic 06 at all. Again, they want to make sure this game never exists. So, case in point, I don't think there's going to Solaris and base. In Super though, that's a different story. Now Shadow has a couple of forms, but
That's a good
really,
one.
we only really need to talk about one, which is Super Shadow. Super Shadow uses the 7 Chaos Emeralds and basically buffs him to a point that becomes invulnerable. Now, in order to know how strong Super Shadow is, we need to talk about the cosmology. Now, cosmology is basically like what exists in this fictional verse. Sonicverse has a lot of worlds, so let's get into it. So first of all, we have Sonic's universe. It should be pretty similar to our universe. Some people say that it might be infinite, however, this is an assumption.
Sonic X Shadow Generations.
There should only be that one, right?
Not necessarily. Time is just one dimension of reality. Within the endless possibilities of space,
There could be an infinite number of other Sonics.
Said it.
Tails himself, even though he's
And it's
super
possible.
intelligent, he doesn't really confidently know if it is infinite.
Sonic
or not.
Unleashed is so peak.
We're gonna be on the safer side and say that this isn't an infinite universe. Next up is Blizzard Universe,
That's
which
fair
should
enough.
be equal in size to Sonic's universe. They're literally said to be parallel. In Sonic Chaos Guide, special stages are also said to be parallel universes. However, there's no indication that all special stages are separate realms. So, for right now, we'll just say it's just one parallel universe.
Damn, this guy
Which are
really did
universes
it.
from Sonic and Six
Sonic.
Rings,
I didn't
Yeah.
think
from
Sonic
Camelot, from
Chaos
Sonic
would be
Black Knight.
relevant.
Now these two realms should just straight up be universes. There is things like the Lost Prologue and the Night Palace, in which the Night Palace is said to be a Milky Way, which is a galaxy.
For Night Palace, however, there is a statement that says that it's infinite. However, this is in a Prima guide, which is not licensed by Sega, making it pretty unofficial.
Yeah, that's
so
might
you can
change.
easily argue that this wasn't really Sega's intent in the first place.
Next up, we got the shower space, which I know, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I'll come into your house. Shower space are broken fragments of the original universe, with each shower space being at least galaxy level, due to things like stars and nebulas in the worlds. Cyberspace is an alternate dimension that holds information on the ancients, being advanced to a point that Eggman himself is like, yo, these niggas might be like cracked or something. It's so advanced that it makes basically Sonic's memories into reality, and it's beyond quantification as it has countless amounts of data. Next up you have, oh brother, Imaginary World. Imaginary World was in Sonic's Shuffle, and is an alternate universe where all dreams become reality. Some dreams vary in size, they can be planetary or even universal. Now, some people argue that it is an infinite 4D space, but some people also say that it isn't an infinite 4D space. Now, to give Imaginary Worlds credit, there's literally a stage in the game called Fourth Dimensional Space. However, there's also a guidebook that says it too. However, it isn't officially licensed by Sega. It means that it could very well be just not what Sega intended. However, considering the fact that they put Fourth Dimensional Space literally in the game, I wouldn't be surprised if it was intentional. So now we've gone down to why Sonic's cosmology should have multiple universes, and even an infinite universe itself in Imaginary World. So how strong is Super Shadow? Super Shadow should easily be able to scale to people like Solaris, who Solaris is said to be a super dimensional being capable of destroying the entire Sonic cosmology. Now, some people might say, oh, well, all hedgehogs need to be able to beat him. Okay, future fade here. I'm going to explain real quick why Sonic and Shadow get to Solaris. Number one, not only do Sonic and Shadow tank Solaris' attacks, but they clearly damage him. But on top of that, they broke Solaris' shell and was still able to damage him. The only reason why they didn't fully kill him was because he had regeneration, so Sonic and Shadow should scale regardless. But even if you don't think that they scale here, in Sonic Frontiers, the end literally thinks that he's the strongest of Sonic's opponents, which would include Solaris, as Sonic remembers the events of Sonic 06.
貴様をここで倒すって意気込んでたじゃないか。大世界のために貴様をここで撃つ。そんな記憶はないけど。さあ、そろそろレースの時間だ。楽しもうぜ。
And I know Ian Flynn's a little iffy with statements, but if you want to use his statement, he also says that the end is the most powerful thing ever. So there you have it. Now we know how Shadow can scale to Solaris. How strong would Shadow be? Well, Solaris is said to do a few things. Number one, he was said to be a super dimensional being. Number two, he was said to be able to eat dimensions for lunch. And number three, he was said to be able to destroy the entire Sonic cosmology. Considering the fact that the entire Sonic cosmology would include Imaginary World and infinite 4D space, plus with all the universes in Sonic's world already, this would be either a low
play Sonic
multiversal
Frontiers
to
at
a
some point.
5D level feat. And Shadow should easily scale to this. There are also things like the
Dude, there's
Eggman
so
and
much
Eggman.
happening. So
Okay, come on everybody, let's be grown here. As they said they were going to create a universe that transcends all others by combining the Sonic world and the Blaze world. Now, you can argue that since we didn't really get to see it on screen, it may not count. However, to give the benefit of the doubt here, plus the fact that we already have Solaris being 5th dimensional as well, you can easily just argue them being 5th dimensional as well. So with all that we saw here, Shadow should be multi-solar system in base form, if not even higher, potentially in galaxy tiers. And for Super Shadow, he should straight up be multiversal to even 5D. But enough about strength. Let's get into speed. This is Sonic and Shadow's main category.
Fucking Broly.
Now, before we get into how fast these two are, we need to talk
Apparently
about their
Sonic's
debuts.
walking out
Night
there.
Palace isn't
This
infinite, so Sonic
is
crossing it
consistently,
would
like,
be infinite speed. You can also argue that
multi-versal.
Sonic went through a specific door that allowed him to travel, so rather than him being infinite in speed, he could have just used a portal or something. Then we get to Sonic Generations. A lot of people argue that Sonic was running through time, which can be fair. However, you can also argue that this is just something that Sonic and Classic Sonic resisted, as Tails and Classic Tails, and many of the other characters who got frozen by time were now brought back in time, were able to walk around as if nothing happened. So you can easily argue that this is just some type of resistance. Now on to the speed feats. The first big one is scaling to Solaris. Wow, big whoop. Solaris was able to shine his light.
We can
across
never
the
escape this
universe,
motherfucker
which
when it
can
comes to
be up
Sonic.
77 quadrillion times the speed of light. Now, You can argue that it could be infinite if you think the cosmology is infinite in size, and we have things like Imaginary World, which is infinite in and of itself. However, there is no proof that Sonic cosmology itself is infinite. We also have the time mirror, which also affected the universe, which would be 122 to 183 quadrillion times the speed of light. Now, if you include different timelines, it can go up into the quintillions of times the speed of light. However, you don't really see a lot of different timelines in Sonic Generations. And even Gerald explains how we got to see things like Chaos Island for Shadow. Plus the fact that we didn't even get to see things from the Soul Dimension or special stages. So overall, I'd say 122 to 182 quadrillion times the speed of light is a safer option. However, Shadow does have some
Sure,
quintillion
we'll
feats
go with
which
that.
is skeleton. For example, in Sonic
I don't know.
2 quintillion feats, which are the crunch of
I'm just the guy watching
and
for
the
fun.
expansion of the verse itself, both of which are quintillions times the speed of light. Now, while nobody in base form should scale, super form should more than enough scale. Meaning Shadow in his super form should be quintillions times the speed of light. You can argue infinite and immeasurable speed, but it is a little iffy, so keep it in mind. So that's it for Shadow. Shadow is a very, very powerful character, and while some people be definitely waking him a lot more than I'm waking him right now, you can definitely see why people do it in the first place.
All right, so what do we think? What do we think after seeing that? Just about Shadow.
So it's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm still rooting for Vegeta, but oh my god, he's gonna have a lot to live up to.
I mean, first of all, I just want to say all the fucking research is because I don't think this guy has an entire team. So huge props to this guy.
Really impressive here, especially since it's just one guy.
It sounds like there's two guys with like the different mic change.
I'm not sure.
Actually has another like versus series with like a whole team. It's called Coded or something. This one seems to be like a solo project.
It's definitely a smaller team at least. So yeah, it is very impressive nonetheless.
So the Sonic lore is enough to drive a man insane. Like that from I've always seen that.
I would have liked to see a bit more like I don't know, talk about Shadow's story, but honestly for like from scaling stuff is actually really impressive with how much detail he goes into.
Yeah, he wouldn't do a lot of detail for his scale. I didn't hear a lot about like his abilities, so that I will say that.
Oh, right. Like stuff like the Chaos Spears, the Chaos Blast.
Yeah, that would be like my one gripe, that it was a little lacking on abilities.
Doom Surf, Doom Blast, Doom
lot
Wings.
of Doom stuff, huh?
Can Shadow run Doom? I don't know.
Imagine just like pressing his spot. Press on his forehead and just like his eyes turning like the Doom screen.
Doom has a very, very light code. It would not surprise me if you could run Doom on Shadow since he's an android.
All right. Well then, are we ready to see what Vegeta brings to the table then?
No.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Settle this.
Okay.
Perfect.
Oh shit! Spider-Man's gonna fucking die.
Oh.
Regardless of what you give Spider-Man, because if you give him all his stuff, he stops Invincible high health.
True.
If you just focus on base stuff, then Invincible wouldn't. Spider-Man wouldn't even be a slave in Invincible's army.
God, I love that meme. All right, shut up. I'm going to feed you your own heart.
Shit, that was a great line.
Alright. Let's play now.
Let's get back to the video.
Now, Dragon Ball cosmology is a giant ball which is divided into two halves. The first half is the realm of the living with outer space and the demon realm, and the upper half is the other world with the afterlife, where in the middle there's hell. Based on these multiple realms, Universe 7 should be an enormous structure at least twice as large as our own universe, with the multiverse having 12 universes all being in equal size to each other. Now, Dragon Ball also has multiple universes with its own timelines, and those timelines have their own universes. Now, this alone makes the whole Dragon Ball scale extremely absurd. However, that's a whole video for another day. Point is that Dragon Ball should have a lot of universes. Then we get into the infinite scale. Now, most of these are pretty much from the Daizenshuu. Now, Toriyama himself has stated that these are more reliable than him. And some of you might say, oh, well, you didn't give Tails to infinite stuff. Why would you get Dragon Ball? Well, considering that we're literally getting the thumbs up from the creator himself, it's very clear Dragon Balls is a lot more likely in this situation. But as you can see on the screen, Dragon Ball worlds are infinite. Pretty simple.
Okay.
Then we get into the dimension of strange swirling lights. This is said to be a super dimensional world that Gogeta and Broly not only broke into, but broke in general. And the specific goal by the production crew was to make higher dimensional imagery. So this should be on a tier above, or likely being 5D. So now we settled that, let's go Vegeta. Vegeta should be able to scale to Goku, who straight up shook the entire world when clashing with Beerus. This should straight up just be either low multiversal to straight up multi-plus if we take the infinite worlds into consideration. Now some people like using the World of Void feat, however it only stated to be an infinite nothingness, and plus the infinite itself isn't really even an accurate translation. Then we get into what I consider to be the most important feat, that being the Gogeta and Broly feat. Gogeta and Broly not only shattered into the dimension of strange swirling lights, but they destroyed the dimension and destroyed space-time just by being themselves. So Vegeta should straight up be multi-plus to even 5D. Now for the people asking,
what
Vegeta should straight
that
up
say?
be multi.
Keep in mind Vegeta and base would upscale the beginning of Super. Okay.
Plus to even 5D. Now for the people asking, wait a minute, you're scaling Vegeta to Gogeta? That doesn't make sense. Now this would be true if we were using like Super Broly Vegeta, but we're using the most recent Vegeta, that being Superhero Vegeta. Granola wished himself to be the strongest in the universe, which would include Broly, and Vegeta basically beat the shit out of him. It was pretty much to the point that Vegeta would have won had it not been for him literally going through a mental breakdown. So Vegeta should upscale Gogeta, and thus being 5D. Now on to speed. For speed, Vegeta scales through shockwaves.
I fucking love that Goku running meme.
Which would flat be massively faster than light, plus the potentially even infinite levels of speed. Then we actually have a really good feat, which is the Spirit Bomb feat. In Dragon Ball Kakarot, Goku gathers energy for a Spirit Bomb pretty fast. This comes up to 490 quadrillion to times the speed of light. And remember, Vegeta has confirmed multipliers for Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3s, and he has it now, and later forms. And there's also some monster breaking into the other universe from the future timeline. This is a little iffy, so personally I wouldn't use it. However, Goku himself says that he could have done something against Zamasu if he had a Senzu being, and Jiren has been stated to be the strongest opponent that Super Sentai has ever seen, which would include Infinite Zamasu. And for another feat, Goku literally jumps into the future in the Dragon Ball Super anime in order to beat his time stop, which would not only probably be enough to beat time stop altogether, but also just makes Goku immeasurable. For Vegeta, the end of the series be multiversal, and in 5D potentially, with speed going into quadrillions of times the speed of light, but then has multipliers to make him even faster. And he also has infinite and immeasurable arguments, depending on what you believe. So Vegeta for Shadow for both, if not
That was a lot shorter than Shadows.
That was way shorter. Listen. I think Shadow about to stomp Vegeta.
He said 5D, like they're both around 5D, but
Yeah.
like it was like universal to 5D for Shadow, whereas Vegeta was multi-plus to 5D. I'm gonna bet on Vegeta just because he seems like they're about equal at high ends, but Vegeta's higher at low ends, so
Like
I think he's a safer bet.
Didn't he also give say Vegeta actually had immeasurable speed arguments while Shadow was like hard capped like 182 quadrillion or quintillion or something? Something tillion.
I don't remember much about the speed feats.
Would it be cheating to go back and check?
Talking about like multiversal and stuff.
Would it be cheating to go back and check?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
No, but it'd be frowned upon.
Yeah.
It would be frowned upon at the very least.
Well, damn, can't do that. I have a reputation.
If you rewatch the second with Broly, I am 100% going to laugh at you, pointing out that it's Broly.
It's like an unspoken rule, you know?
Yeah. I've never done it before, not gonna start now.
So with that being said,
I'm way too impatient for that. I'm gonna be honest.
Alright, so
with everything going said, who do you pick to win?
alright, this is the question of who I'm going to doom. Are you ready? I do believe I will be going with Vegeta.
No, stay on that side. Stay on that side.
Yeah, I'm still staying on that side. We've agreed before. It hasn't doomed Mahito. I think, like, and hell, there's been times where he was wrong when we were watching episodes together, and I was right. Mainly Gus versus Dimitri and Vader versus Obito.
To be fair, I was right or down with Vader no matter what.
You still thought Guts was gonna win against Dimitri.
Okay, that I did. And I was correct that he did have speed, so I was correct on that. It just wasn't enough.
He just didn't really have the kind of hacks to capitalize on it, though.
Yeah.
So Dimitri still kind of.
And also, you got Bill versus Discord wrong. Let me remind you, as well as Frieza versus Megatron.
Discord and Frieza.
think-
Okay, he's still kind. Okay, after seeing this though, now I can. I'm not familiar enough with Transformers to pull the pin on that grenade, but at the time,
I think we should put up this and continue the video.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. All right, so I'm going with
Technical
Vegeta.
difficulties.
But who are you rooting for? Because that's who you're really gonna doom.
I don't fucking know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't think I've ever played a Sonic game other than those like Flash games online. And my only experience with Dragon Ball is Dragon Ball Z Abridged, which if I say I'm a fan because I watched that, the entire fandom will lynch me.
I mean, my introduction to it was Abridged, but I have watched a lot some of the movies, and I've played the games.
Okay, I have seen the movies and watched my friend play, but still,
I'm on good authority that I'm a Dragon Ball fan.
I do not think I'm on good enough authority to say that. I think people will kill me if I say that.
I watched. Let's see. I've seen episode of not episode of Bardock. Bardock, Father of Goku, the good Bardock movie. Battle of Gods, Broly, Dead Zone, and Superhero at the very least.
All right. Well, like Zombie said, I think we get on with it now. So, are you ready?
Let's.
Okay, so
Yes.
Going for Vegeta. Let's begin.
Not going to be a walk in the park. So who will win this fight? Let's find out. Time out. Tweet. We gotta look at viewer time. So before I started editing the episode, I decided to ask Twitter on who they thought won. Along with that, I did a poll for who would win Vegeta versus Shadow. So first, we're going to look at some of the comments, and then we're going to look at the poll, and then we're going to get into the fight. And then see if they're right. If they win, they get an all-expense-paid trip to Miami. And if they picked wrong, they're going to die. Let's get started. This one goes for my good friend, Giga Pokemon 333. And he thinks that Xiao wins because he's stronger, faster, and how hacks is. Now, to be fair, I didn't really talk about Xiao's hacks, but he does have Chaos Control, which can stop time, teleport, etc. He basically works the reality around him to do it. So yeah, that's a pretty good statement. He got some replies, so we'll look at them as well. Now, to be fair, we don't have a lot of time. I'm trying not to go crazy
in order to
on
win.
it, but we shall see. So for the replies, he was like gassing me up. We niggas for real. Like we two pieces of pie. Some people thought that Shadow, isn't stronger. Some people thought that Vegeta could overrule his hacks. People are bringing up the Solaris feat. And hey, in the end of the video, we'll talk more about, what goes on and who wins and all that. Also, by the way, it's just unscripted, so there's going to be a lot more ominous and Alright, so some people are saying Vegeta should win because he has endurance, and he has Ultra Ego, which allows him to take more damage, the more his attack potency increases, which is a good point. So, if Vegeta and Shadow are somehow equal in terms of their stats, which, I mean, they are, like, if you watch the analysis, they are. So, Vegeta does have a good chance of winning if Shadow doesn't, like, immediately kill him, There is another person that came up here and said, hey, Super Shadow's invulnerability monster Arsenal could wear down Ultra Ego's main ability, and that's honestly a good point. Next up, most of the other comments are kind of just around the same too. People are saying things like, oh,
both should be able to get to 5D or multi. And then, you know, some people were saying that Vegeta should be able to like go through the Shadow's hack. Some people are saying that he couldn't. And another person, RJ Roger, my goat, they bring up the fact that they don't really buy any high argument for Shadow, which is fair. Power scaling is super subjective. We're not all going to agree on something. It just happens. I hope you leave this video seeing where I'm coming from, whether you agree with me or
I see where he's coming from. I think he really did his research.
You know, my point is to just show you what I think, and hopefully Super Shadow's invulnerability monster arsenal can wear down Ultra Ego's main ability, and that's honestly a good point. Next up, most of the other comments like GOAT,
I guess
is just show you what I think, and hopefully I can come.
Recording still okay?
If you don't think so,
yep,
I hope you can still understand my method. But anyway, so they also bring a multiplier, which I think is also a very good point for Vegeta. Again, we're going to talk more about it later, but a lot of the whole feats are a lot better once you put in multipliers. And that's all I'm saying. Shadow wins as soon as Vegeta pulls out this pose. And I will say, the animation, Vegeta does actually use that pose. So
what have I done? No!
What have you done?
Minato, it's Jover! It's Jover!
Damn, I was rooting for Vegeta. I mean, I will admit, Shadow's probably his most debatable. Could be worse. It could be my personal favorite for Vegeta. Like, I love Vegeta, but he dies fucking hard if he fought, like, Lahal from Disgaea. That would be a cool fight to see, though, I will admit. Dragon Ball and Disgaea does sound like a cool combo.
Alright, well.
So I can't look at every post here since we have a lot here, but what I'll do is I'll like fade some on screen, and you know y'all can see it while I'm talking about the rest of the stuff that's gonna happen. The last one I actually saw that was really interesting was Vegeta's Force Spirit Vision, which is actually a really good point. I didn't bring up in the analysis because I'm an idiot. That is actually a really good point, and some people are also saying that Vegeta had an edge in skill and experience, which is also a pretty fair point. Because Shadow lived for 50 years, but he was in a fucking ice container for 50 years. Alright, I'm gonna let the comments run for a little bit. If you see yourself in the comments, type in the YouTube comments being like, yo, that's me. Or if you didn't get that, you type in the YouTube comments, hey, Fade, I hate you. I hope you die. Now, with all the comments out the way, let's look at the poll. So,
Invincible.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
With 48.1 versus 42.7%, which is like a very close poll right here. I was super surprised. But 293 votes as well. Shadow barely edges out a victory against Vegeta by only a little bit. It actually is insane. I expected one or the other to just straight up just take the dub. But no, it was actually a very close one. So that was really cool. So now that we've gone through that, everyone, I would say that people think Shadow wins. I'm going to give the viewers' vote to Shadow. So will the viewers be correct? Will my viewers win an expense all paid trip to Miami, or will they die? Now, officially, let's find out.
Zama, you got a paid expense trip to Miami on the line here. How you feeling?
Well, I mean, same with you guys. You know, one of us, I mean, it's either I die and you guys with Miami, or vice versa. So,
oh man, we're cooked.
I mean, honestly, if that's the case, if it means that I don't get to go to, I think going to Florida is a fate worse than death. So, if Vegeta loses, I'll at least die with my dignity intact.
Nah, dude, you go to Florida and you go to the Everglades to see the alligators. That's the reason you go. I like reptiles.
I get to go to Miami. Doesn't mean I have to stay in Miami.
Yeah, exactly.
Just watch out for any guys with chicken masks.
Oh god. Alright, well, let's get into this then.
Man, I kind of want to play some Hotline Miami after this is done.
Oh, okay, they just straight up on into it.
Yeah. I was expecting it looks like the base forms to fight.
Yeah.
It's like I said, I am the ultimate life form.
Yes, the stronger the opponent, the greater the thrill of the fight.
Very well. Let me show you what ultimate power is.
This is really cool.
Crush you into dust!
Come on, you broke. Yes. Okay, broke the time. Stop. Oh, this is so cool.
Perfect. Now you've really done it. Damn. Let's go!
No, don't spam the key blast.
Oh,
That ain't it. That ain't. No way. That's it.
You're outclassed! Death to all who oppose me!
Out the edge. I'm waiting to see someone like Gallica in a final flash. That's what I'm waiting for. Because once you see final flash, then you know.
It's like Chaos Blast or something.
Yeah.
Control!
Good hit.
Let's settle this!
Oh!
Time to unleash the ultimate power!
This is it!
I thought it was gonna be the gun.
Chaos Spear!
Come on, Vegeta! Oh no! What? What?
Time to step it up.
Oh, they're going into it!
Oh wow,
Wait.
what the heck?
Not here.
Yes!
Now to finish taking out the trash.
Wait,
I can't die here.
wait.
Impossible.
Uh-oh.
The ultimate power.
Oh.
Oh, wait. Oh, that was the fake out.
Oh, he's red, what the heck?
This is the end for you.
Chaos Blast!
Oh god, Shadow Team is playing!
Take this.
Didn't do it?
Whoa.
Yes!
Such a cool fight. Yo, shout out Fade, man.
We're going to Florida!
Anyway, Vegeta wins the fight. But what? Well, let's look at this.
Zombie, I want to say, I'll send my condolences to your family.
However,
When
Shadow caps around 1300 Universal.
Okay, hold on. Let's see what he says. Let's see what he says.
And have multipliers on top of that. Meaning that no matter what, Vegeta is likely going to be stronger than Shadow.
But what about speed? Shadow, he gets up to 733 quadrillions times the speed of light. Could potentially quintillions the times the speed of light if you give him some arguments. However, this wouldn't really hold out to Vegeta. Be upscaling that from the Majin Buu saga, and then on top of that with the Super Saiyan multipliers and the God multipliers. Plus the fact that we already have a ton of other feats from Super as well. Vegeta would just outright blitz the hell out of Shadow. But what about infinite ends for both? For infinite ends, we have both Vegeta and Xiao scaling to around 5B. However, Vegeta's arguments are stronger overall, mainly due to things like consistent statements for the universes being infinite, and on top of that, them literally fighting in a 5th dimensional space, whereas Shadow really only has imaginary world, which can even be argued not to be 4th dimensional. However, ignoring that, both should be pretty equal when you use infinite ends. So what about their other abilities? Xiao has chaos control, however Vegeta can easily get around it, similar to Goku vs. Hit. But Vegeta's main trump card here is 4th Spirit Fission. 4th Spirit Fission should straight up allow Vegeta to steal the emeralds from Shadow, and at that point it's basically GG's. So at this point, not only will Vegeta be faster and stronger without infinite ends, but even if you want to use infinite scaling, Vegeta has more than enough abilities to take down Shadow for good. Also, before I forget, there's also Hakai, which could potentially erase Shadow from existence as well. And so the winner is the Prince of all Saiyans, Vegeta.
Super Vegeta!
I know. You're never going to hear that again.
All right. That was amazing. That was great.
That was impressive.
Yeah.
Damn.
So we're definitely gonna have to check out what was it?
Spider-Man versus Invincible and Knuckles versus Piccolo.
Invincible and Knuckles versus Piccolo.
Yeah, absolutely. I am 100% down to react to this guy more.
If you're gonna be doing multiple Sonic versus Dragon Ball matchups, you think maybe you could also do Cell versus Metal Sonic?
Oh man, wouldn't that be a thing to see?
It would be so cool.
It would be so awesome. It would be so cool. But yes, assuming this is the first of many reactions to Fade, starting off with a W. Let's go.
Yeah, starting off with a really good one.
And I'm already dead.
I just realized.
Wait. Zombie,
I'm
zombie.
still reading the comics.
Zombie, you okay? You're already a zombie.
No, it's cooked. Wallahi, I'm finished.
Are you just double dead now?
Time,
I'm
dude.
just double dead. I'm 12 feet underground.
I just realized the problem with the Spider-Man versus Invincible thing, though. I'm still a bit behind on the comics. So unless I actually get them read by the time that comes out, which I kind of doubt, I might have to just watch it with you guys later and just skip Invincible's analysis.
That'd be fair. That'd be fair. All right. Well then. Yeah.
I am good for Knuckles versus Piccolo, though.
Yes.
But yeah. So I do just want to say, like, looking back, this was very well put together. My big thing is they could have gone over. He went over the stats very, very well. He went over those beautifully in a clear and unconcise way to understand. My complaint, my big thing is that he didn't go over the abilities a lot. So, like, Minato,
yeah, that too.
You jokingly listed off like tons of Shadow's abilities. I'd never even heard of like 90% of those. Like he even brought it up himself. So like that's my thing. That's my thing. But yeah, animation was beautiful. Analysis was
Vegeta's key techniques like key sword, big bang attack, Gallic gun. I'm trying to think. I can't think of as many. Of course, the final flash. I can't name as many of Vegeta's attacks compared to Shadow's because, like, I don't know. But yeah.
But yeah, other than that, oh, go ahead, Zombie.
I just can't believe it. I'm never trusting Sonic scaling again. I mean, like, Shadow is arguably the second strongest character in the universe, I would say.
Him and Sonic are basically constantly argued for the number one spot.
Yeah. Man. Can't believe this. Can't believe I started off already 0-1. Horrible stuff. And I'm dead.
0-1 and dead, yeah. Meanwhile, Minato and I get an all-expense paid trip to Miami.
Can't believe this.
I'm pretty sure I can count on my fingers. Well, actually, no. I'm not sure if I probably have quite a few wrong predictions from the Smash bracket at least. Remember when I had that fucking losing streak after a long winning streak? There was where it was broken by Bill versus Discord, then continued by Frieza versus Megatron, and then Ike versus Richter comes out with the steel chair.
God, Richter got ran out the building, as Zombie put it.
I still think although I know I've mentioned this multiple times, I'm still standing by my boy Richter. I still think my boy was robbed.
Yeah, it was Bill versus Discord, Frieza versus Megatron, and then Ike versus Richter. So a 3-lose streak.
Picked it back up. Well, I say picked it back up. I got a win, and then I was wrong about Scooby versus Courage because I thought there would be a winner.
I consider that a tie, so like no loser in that since we were both wrong. Oh, and then immediately you're wrong again with the hero battle royale, but we all just kind of picked a character YOLO.
We all picked different heroes randomly.
Yeah,
it was kind of just it's kind of just luck of the draw at that point.
That one's still probably my favorite. That one is still by far my favorite reaction on the channel, just for how fucking random it is.
None of us had any like
logic or reasoning.
We kind of just we're just like, yeah, we'll just pick that one. Yeah.
You know, Zombie, you didn't lose that video because Wilding didn't win that video.
Yeah, that's a little point. Like, it's fine if I don't win. I just have to make sure Wilding loses.
Exactly.
Simple as
All
that.
right, but
I'm really only competitive when it's like a series I like against another guy's series. Well, technically, the other series is usually also a series I like with Joker versus Giorno, but I'm like rooting for a specific character.
That one was BS. If literally a video game that was not canon, a non-canon video game is what stopped Giorno from winning. I can't believe this.
The Omnipotent Orb is what did Giorno win. The Deal Over Heaven was just the steel chair being broken against Giorno's back, really. That was just to support that. Yeah, the Omnipotent.
If that never happened, if that never happened, then the Omnipotent Orb would not it would just be negated then, because that was the reason why the Omnipotent Orb came into play.
The thing is, I'm pretty sure Joker had 5 other arguments for him winning.
Nah, Giorno. That game doesn't happen. Giorno solos. Trust me on that one.
Why would I trust a dead person?
Man, I'm going. You guys have fun. Man, I'm going.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, but yeah,
your execution.
With that, I do think it's time to end the video. So, just any final thoughts on Vegeta versus Shadow specifically?
Never trusting Sonic fans again.
Minato?
My gut stays winning.
All right. With that, I will see you all in the next video. And thank you again to Fade. And Fade, if you're watching this, I hope you enjoyed it. With that, I'll see you all in the next video. See ya!